people! Today we are going to do another Christmas DIY, and I am going to be using these really cute old miniature nativity scene pieces that I've had sitting in storage for years and I've never used them, and every time I clean out my Christmas decorations, I'm always trying to figure out something to do with these. So this year I am going to put together a really pretty display. It's going to be a piece that I'm going to be able to use year after year. Let's show you all the supplies that you're going to need to do this DIY along with. So as you can see, I have a lot of stuff laid out here on my counter for this DIY. Obviously, you're gonna need some nativity scene pieces. Again, these are old. I've had them for a long time. We're going to kind of vamp these up a little bit with some of the Rust-Oleum chalked linen white spray paint. I also have a cutting board and some hot glue. I have a little handheld saw, or you can use some sort of a knife that will cut through wood. I have a Sharpie, I have a glass cutter, and I have a ruler. I was looking for something to use as a background for my nativity scene, and I found this. This is like a little stake that's supposed to go in the ground. It came from Walmart. I believe it was only like $4. And I thought it was perfect. I also know that Walmart has some really cute miniature nativity scenes for not very expensive. So if you're looking for a miniature nativity scene, check out Walmart because I know they have a really cute little section. Then I also picked up another frame that was actually similar in wood to this background piece right here. This came from Walmart as well, and it's another 11 by 14 picture frame. Also, I have 2 more panes of glass that came out of dollar store frames that I had from a previous DIY. Battery operated twinkle lights, and you can get these at the dollar store. Again, we have some miniature bottle brush trees. These came from the dollar store. And then these white sparkly pine tree decorations or ornaments that are from the dollar store. I did grab 3 packages so that I have 6 altogether. And then just some extra greenery. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take my spray paint and my miniature nativity pieces out to my garage, and I have a box that's kind of set aside in a well-ventilated area. I'm gonna go ahead and give these a really quick spray of the spray paint and let them dry, and then while those are drying, we're gonna work on the actual base of this project. While my nativity pieces are drying after being spray painted, I went ahead and pulled off the stake that went to this sign. It really just pulled off really easily. There's just 2 little tacks that are holding it in place, plus some glue, but that pulls off pretty easily. I also took apart my frame and I pulled the backing off, I pulled the glass out, and then I also pulled out the little clips that hold the glass in place. So now we just have a plain wooden frame like this one right here. So I've taken my frame and I'm working on a cutting board, and what I'm gonna do is I'm going to measure this frame because we're gonna be cutting this frame in half, so we're gonna actually end up cutting it here and here. Okay, so you can see I've measured out exactly halfway on both sides of the short part of the frame. We're just gonna go ahead and, as best as we can, cut this in half. Okay, so I've cut my frame in half, so I have now 2 identical pieces. Now we're gonna take the back of the frame, and I am gonna lay that down. If it has any of these little hanging tabs on the back, you can just use a pair of pliers to kind of twist and pull those out. I just pulled out one side because I'm only gonna use this bottom portion. I'm gonna lay that down, and we're gonna use our back plate as a template on how big we are gonna need to cut. So this up with one side, making sure one side is even with my back plate. I'm gonna take my marker and I'm just going to trace the other side, and we're gonna measure the depth of the short piece of the half frame that we cut. So we're gonna use the inside of the frame. So we're gonna measure from the inside corner all the way to the edge, which is 13.5 centimeters. And I'm going to take that 13.5 centimeters and measure from the bottom of my frame, 13.5. And I'll just do another one down here so I get a nice straight line. 13.5. So now we have a nice piece, if you can see right there. We're gonna have a nice piece that you're going to cut out of this back plate. All right, so now we have this nice small piece, which is gonna be the base of our display case. What we're gonna do is we are gonna use this stake, we're gonna cut it, and we're gonna use it as kind of like a little trim piece to hide this unfinished side of the base of our display. Just kind of line this up with my frame, and I'm gonna put a little mark on the inside down here, and another little mark on the other side, and we're going to go ahead and cut out this piece. So here's our little trim piece, but I have my piece of glass. Now, if you've never cut glass before, you want to make sure you have a pair of gloves to work with, and you're going to want a little glass cutter like this. You can actually get this at most hardware stores. Probably Walmart or most craft stores have them as well. They're very inexpensive. Length of this glass should fit. The width is going to be a little bit off, so that's what we're going to need to cut. So we are going to just take a quick measurement, measure 25 centimeters on our glass, and we're going to just make a little mark. And again, we're going to do it down at the bottom, connect those two. So this is now the portion that we're going to have to cut off on our glass. And we're gonna just score. Now you wanna be careful when you're doing this that when it breaks, it's not gonna fall on the floor and shatter everywhere. I'm gonna line up that line on the edge of my cutting board. All right, so we have the front piece of glass glued into place, which is kind of holding our structure together. From the bottom where this glass sits up to the top, that looks like it's measuring about 13 centimeters on mine. Okay, so I'm measuring out 12.5 centimeters. I'm making And you're going to do this for 2 pieces because you're going to need 1 piece of glass for each side. Alright, so I have my other 2 pieces of glass cut out. I'm going to go ahead and glue these down into my sides of my framed piece and into the sides of my display. Kind of go back in and put a few more beads of glue just to make sure that it's secure right along the seams, because you won't see it because the frame actually hides it. So this is now what you have, this glassed in box with no top, no back, and no bottom. Now we're gonna go ahead and put our bottom plate on, which was this rectangle that we cut out. All right, so what I had to do was I had to trim off the edge just a hair more so that way it would slide down into the base of my frame. And that was because the glass takes up just a tiny little bit of space. It's easier to trim this piece than it is the glass. That's why I like to do the glass portion first. I'm gonna take my glue and go along the inside bottom of my display with just a few dollops of glue on both sides. And we're gonna lay this black portion down into the glue, just like that. Now we've got our base. Then we've got this open portion on the front right here, which we're gonna take that piece that we cut out of the stake from the sign, and we're gonna go ahead and glue that into place on the front. So now we have the front, both sides, and the bottom. Now we are gonna start decorating our framed in box with our little nativity scene pieces. Now these are all dry. They've been lightly sprayed with just a single coat of the chalk. I kind of arranged them ahead of time inside my little display case just to figure out where I wanted them. So now I'm gonna take my hot glue gun and go ahead and glue these into place. Okay, next I have some of these really cute bottle brush trees. So I'm gonna glue some of these in the background. And I cut the hang tag off of a couple of these little ornament trees, which I'd like to use in the background, maybe on the side. So I'm just gonna put a little bit of glue on the bottom. All right, so I want a little bit of greenery in this scene as well. So I'm taking these small little pine picks, these little bendable ones, and I'm just kind of bending it, and I'm gonna stick that right down in the front corner. Now that the nativity scene is all done, we're gonna be working with the background plate. But I wanted to add some more trees and greenery to the front of this. So I pulled off the hang tags to a couple more of these little white trees, and we're gonna glue these into place, as well as some more of the like little green stems. And I'm gonna take another one of these pine picks, and I'm gonna glue one going across the bottom. Just like this. Use this as a guide when you're gluing, just to kind of see what is gonna look good in the background. All right, that looks great. So now we're gonna go ahead and glue this back plate right into place. All right, so now if everything was measured correctly, this little portion on the top should line up pretty perfectly with your frame. So glue at the top. Go ahead and add a little bit more of greenery to the top of this because it's kind of all open at the top, and I want the greenery kind of coming out the back. Nice big dollops of glue on these pine pieces, and I'm gonna just stick them on the back. All right, so we are just about done. The last thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna put this little small battery operated LED light in this little arranger. There's a little opening at the bottom. That way, we could put the lights through and kind of pull them up and in my display. Then the little battery operated case, I'm gonna just take some hot glue and just a couple little dollops of hot glue on the back. I'm gonna just stick that, and I want to make sure that I stick it so that I can turn it on and off, and that I can also pull it open and close to put the batteries in. And we can just go ahead and arrange these lights down around our little figurines. All right, friends, well, here it is. I put it upstairs in my hallway on this little table, and it's so cute. I think it turned out so nice, and I'm happy to have a home for my little nativity set that's just been sitting in a box for the past few years. Hope you guys enjoyed this DIY and stick around for more to come.